what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Moss Acura in Tampa, Florida, and guess what? We have that sports sedan many people are still talking about. This is the all-new, totally redesigned Acura TLX A-Spec, and as you can see, our A-Spec TLX has a few things that have been changed on it. But before we get into this changed up sports sedan, let's talk about what's going on here. Acura, the brand's been around since 1986. They're really making it back to the forefront based on the philosophy of precision crafted performance. Now for 2021, we've already brought to you the changes. You got the new chassis setup, bodywork, double wishbone suspension up front, and of course the upcoming Type S version. But if you want a TLX and you want to go A-Spec, but yet you want something a little bit different, has this particular one here at this location been brought to the new level with some new modifications that are easily done either by yourself or can be done at a location like Moss Acura. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this TLX A-Spec and see if it has the right mods to be ready to flow right into your garage. Let's find out. Right off the bat, the new bodywork, the new chassis, you got a little bit of a wider TLX, a little bit of a longer, and a little bit of a lower TLX. Let's talk about some of the changing of the style up front. So here is your all new headlight design. You got that dual LED setup with the chicane. They call it the chicane daytime running lamp. That is a brand identifier from Acura, especially because they do a lot of racing, and on racetracks around the country, there is a part of it called a chicane, and that's where your little bend is gonna be, right in that daytime running lamp. Now, as you work your way down on an A-Spec, you're gonna get a little bit of gloss black. We do have a functional side air curtain, and the bad news is that we're gonna have to zonk this top area with it being a fake vent. If they would have just made it smooth and not try to make it look like a vent, I think that would have been way bigger advantage than the direction that they went in. But I do like the way you do have the LED fog lamps, and here's the first mod that was done at Moss Acura, is they added this extra piece of aero. So normally the front fascia would just be this pearlescent white color on our particular A-Spec TLX, but they went ahead and added this extra piece of aero, gloss black, to match what comes from the factory. And you'll notice how you have that color match portion to just give you a little bit extra width at the front end of the business. Now when you come across the front, that's where you get that all new grille, and you could clearly see just how wide now the front end of this vehicle is. A-Spec is getting the gloss black around the perimeter of the grille. I love the way they do the different elements, so it looks like it's all flowing away from that Acura badge. Drop your way down, you're gonna have functionality for that intercooler, because remember, we have a turbocharged intercooled engine, flat black, and a little bit of gloss. It would have been nice if they would have added a lower lip spoiler to the center section. Now when we get up onto the hood, you're gonna get that clean styling, that precision crafted performance styling from Acura. Nice rise, goes into the hood, disappears. Everything else very, very aggressive. And I think one of my favorite parts is how the body line kind of curves and does not flow into the A-pillar like a lot of other sports sedans. Coming around the bend, now you're gonna see some big modifications. So feast your eyes on these 20-inch wheels. So these are 20-inch Vossen hybrid forged wheels. So forged wheel is a lighter wheel than cast aluminum, stronger wheel than cast aluminum. This is a 20-inch wheel, so definitely bigger than what you're gonna get stock. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the width of this wheel up front? You're looking at 245 on the width and a nice low 30 series sidewall. And I'm telling you, this gunmetal, this nice flat gunmetal gray, fits perfectly with the pearlescent white. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, are you gonna zonk the amount of gap that we have from the top of the tire to the inside of the fender? I'm gonna give it a half zonk, and the reason why is because they have on order some HRE lowering springs. The problem is they're on back order because of the situation that's going on with the pandemic, but expect this to be dropped about 1.5 inches, which would make it sit perfectly and really give it that aggressive stance that a lot of people look at and like to look at. And this being Vossen, very, very great quality brand wheel, one of the best in the industry right now. Now, as we come down the rest of the side of the vehicle, you're gonna get your A-Spec badge. And then what's really wonderful is that when it comes to the extra aero, they added that lower side sill extension. So this whole piece has been added here at Moss Acura with a little bit of gloss black, makes it cohesive, flows nice, and it looks like it's right from the factory. What their direction was with the mods that they're doing to this vehicle is to kind of give you that Type S look on the TLX A-Spec, and I think from the side they definitely nailed it. Now, gloss black on the mirror caps with your turn signals, that nice white finish. You do have your standard size sunroof. What I would recommend is wrapping the whole top roof black. You could either go flat black, I would go gloss black to kind of make it all match together, but I think that would really just give it a nice extra style that should have came from the factory like that, especially when you look at white with a black roof, it just pops. I love the body lines as they come into the rear passenger door, and that side sill extension has a lot of design and flow to it, especially on that bottom portion there as it goes into the pearlescent white portion. Now, when we look at the rear wheel and tire setup, remember, we have all-wheel drive on our particular A-Spec TLX that we have. Now, these are still 20-inch wheels out back. We're going a little bit wider, 275 on the width. Because remember, that super handling all-wheel drive system, it is rear-wheel drive bias, so to have a little bit more rubber to meet the road will give us that grip that we want, and definitely the look. Expect it to sit, like I said, and about 1.5 inches lower would make it just really have that perfect stance that I think a lot of people are gonna just stare at as this thing is going down the road or sitting in a parking lot or parked in your driveway. But 275 on the width on a TLX. Now, coming around to the back, what are we gonna have? You're gonna have an addition to the bodywork here. So this has been color matched, nicely done from the nose to the side sill to the rear bumper area. And then wrapping it out on the rear, they put a nice, that gloss black trunk lid spoiler, has a nice kick up to it. Even the way the taillights have that smoke finish in the center section, you got your LED taillights. I love the design of the lights. Does not look like the staplers that you would find on an Accord. A-Spec badge. The reflectors, the way they drop them in, which are DOT required, do look really clean. I guess the only other change that I would want to see on this TLX are the exhausts, especially being an A-Spec. I think a quad tip exhaust would really set this apart. And if you're wondering, well, is the Type S going to have a quad tip exhaust? Yes, it will. TLX badge, super handling all-wheel drive, but definitely from front to back, nice cohesive design. Let's go pop the hood and see what's powering our TLX A-Spec. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. You do have hydraulic hood struts, and you'll notice at the back of the engine compartment, there is a massive strut tower brace to stiffen up the front end. Tasteful engine cover, and guess what? If you're not going Type S, this is the only other engine choice with the new TLX. So what you're looking at is that 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine, 272 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to one single transmission. That's a 10-speed automatic, no manual available, not even on the Type S. So that's a bit of a zonk there. But if you're wondering, well, what kind of performance are we going to get out of this? You're looking at 0 to 60 in about 5.7 seconds. MPGs, 21 in the city, 29 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs with all-wheel drive around 3,700 pounds. It's going to be interesting to see, like I said, what the Type S brings to the table when it comes to numbers, but definitely when you're looking at the 10-speed automatic with this engine, it is a very nice combination and you're getting that style. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interior and see what the A-Spec trim brings to the TLX table. All right, guys, we're inside the 2021 TLX A-Spec. Remember, with the car being a little wider, longer wheelbase, you are getting a ton more space in here. And I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, I've been liking the TLX for quite some time. This new one really checks off the boxes. What they've done here at Moss with the modifications, I'm really, really liking. What's the price? So MSRP stock would be $45,000. Definitely give Albert a call to get all the details on what they did and what the price is going to be for this particular one. But let's see what you are going to be getting to the door panels. Love the style on the new 2021 TLX. Soft touch up top. You have that aluminum finish with ambient lighting, and you could change. There's over 20 colors of ambient lighting that runs along that strip up top. I even like the way, if you notice in the corner of the window there, they actually have the blind spot monitoring on the inside rather than on the mirror glass. I think that's a nice touch. Of course, the windows have been tinted. That's another change that really makes the white pop. What makes the interior pop is the red. The material is absolutely exquisite. The stitch work is great. You do have the optional ELS 3D studio sound system in here with those super spectacular aluminum covers on the speakers. And the best news of the day is that you are getting a nice sized door pocket. Easily get a 6-inch cold cut combo with extra pickles from Subway and a bottle of Mountain Dew to wash it down. Now, when you get to the dash, things are a little different. The dash actually sits low and it kind of extends outward, but the great news is styling wise, it's spot on the money. You got beautiful red stitching on the A-Spec trim, soft touch in the middle here, more of that brushed aluminum with the ambient lighting, and then this is totally changed up from the TLX of the previous generation. So you have a single 10.2-inch infotainment system screen. I want to probably speak for you and say the zonk is going to be it's not a touchscreen. You can touch it, but it doesn't do anything. So let me know in the comment section how you feel about that non-touch screen on this TLX A-Spec. But the good news is you have navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, nice horizontal setup. And then when it comes to backup camera, let me show you what it looks like. There's your backup camera, a little bit on the small side. The good news is you can change the angle of the views, which is nice. And you do have trajectory, which is pleasant. I just would like a little bit more visual real estate there for the actual backup camera. Go back to home after I put it in park, brings us right back. And you could go back to home here where all your icons are. Now, the way it works is it's not an actual mouse pad or a trackpad. It's basically the screen here has been taken and placed here, and you just push where you want to be on the screen actually on the panel here, and that's what allows you to navigate through the infotainment. You do have dual climate control, which is nice, ventilated and heated seats, which is even better. We have our dynamic mode select knob, nice aluminum finish with the Acura badge there. Look at that. Look at the graphics, and you have comfort, you have normal, you have sport, and then of course you could go into custom. But that's something right out of a video game arcade system. Pole position times 100 for sure. Coming back, a little bit of gloss black, not heavy like the MDX, which is the good news. MDX has a lot more gloss black, but this is going to control that 10-speed automatic. Love the aluminum finishes. Flat black on the center console is going to protect you from fingerprints. There's that navigation system that they have you do on this pad here, this touch interface, and you could actually operate both sides of the screen all right here. You have a nice palm rest, wireless charging, 2 cup holders. There is your Acura key fob. Spin it around. There's your touches. You got your panic button. On the side, you do have this little tiny cubby area for a banana. So you have your official banana holder on the TLX. The red is nice. And then of course you open this up, easily put, I would say about 16 Twinkies. You got 2 USBs, an aux jack, and a 12 volt, and a place for some toothpicks so you can pick the Twinkie out of your teeth when you're on a hot date. Seats are just as hot as your date. The piping, the red, the Alcantara microfiber suede material down the center. You have power assist for the passenger and the driver. And then to top it off, you do have that standard size sunroof. Would have been nice to have the panoramic at $45,000. But why don't you come over here to the business end, because I have a steering wheel that looks like it was ripped right out of the NSX. Come on over. All right, guys, business time in the A-Spec. Remember, when you go A-Spec, that allows you that color combination. I do like in the foot box on this trim, you're gonna have that nice, large, massive dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle, which are all aluminum finish. You even have this special A-Spec aluminum badge on the sill. 2 memory seat settings for the driver's seat, and I just love that lower lumbar. Even the way they did the switch gear, you can see they really thought every step, every inch of the process, and it's easy to get to, which is wonderful. Steering wheel, I'm telling you right now, this looks like it was right out of an NSX. Flat bottom, you got the A-Spec badge. I love the aluminum finish there, and then really sexy on the horn button. Thumb wheel drive controls. You do have paddles on the back of the steering wheel. Pretty good size. It's going to be interesting. We'll take this obviously for an on-throttle drive to see how those allow you to go up and down the 10-speed automatic. And then the dash. I know it's not full digital, but you know what? It really looks classy. Those aluminum back gauges there with the red LED lighting, and then in the center, you do have a digital display to kind of satisfy those needs as you are driving around. I like the way you could actually show the super handling all-wheel drive working. Remember, 70% of the power could go to the rear wheels, and you also have, when you go into sport, you got your G meter, you got your boost gauge there for that turbocharged power. Really, really clean on the gauges instrumentation. But why don't we get to the back seat, see how your passengers are going to enjoy this mid-size sports sedan. All right, guys, we're inside the back seats of the TLX. The great news is you're getting good room for your passengers back here. I do love the color of the interior. It makes the whole car just pop. The bad news is you do have plastic on the backs, but I guess if you're a parent and you have those kids that like to kick the back of the seat, it's not gonna mess up the beautiful material, and you could wipe those chocolate fingerprints off of this real easy. You do have pockets on both sides, which is great. Keep a couple books in there. Bring back the classics, Moby Dick, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Put a whole Encyclopedia Britannica back here. That'll keep your kids busy for a very long time. Back seat area, you do have rear AC, which is wonderful. The bad news is, and this is why I say bring the Encyclopedia Britannica set, is you have no connectivity. No connectivity on an A-Spec trim TLX. That's a major zonk, but if you bring the encyclopedias, you'll be fine for your passengers back here. But the seating is great. Pull this down, one of the softest armrests in the whole auto industry. They actually had Charmin work with Acura to make a nice soft armrest back here. You have your, of course, Acura Twinkie tray, one Twinkie, so you're gonna have to fight on who gets dibs for the Twinkie that's in the tray. 2 cup holders, nicely set up. You got the surround sound, the speakers in here, they're everywhere. You look up and it's like speaker right in your face. But if you're ready, let's go ahead and check out the cargo area, because I want to take this modded TLX A-Spec for a spin. All right, guys, time to get into the trunk. One of the great news about this TLX, with it being a little bit wider, you're getting more trunk space. I like the way the floor is nice and low in there. You have the handles to drop down those seats, and that's going to allow you that flexibility of being able to use this every single day, and you don't have to go SUV. You could stick with a sedan, but you know what? If you're ready, I'm ready. I want to take this TLX for a spin and find out how those Vossens roll down the road. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, guys, we left Moss Acura. We're in this modded 2021 TLX A-Spec. It's going to be interesting to see how these larger wheels and tires work as we're driving down the road, but I can't wait to come back and do another review once we get those HRE lowering springs. That's really going to make a big difference, not only from a driving standpoint, but also, of course, from an appearance standpoint. On the interior, you do have a manually tilting and telescoping steering wheel. I went ahead and put us in sport mode. There is sport mode right there. And when it comes to visibility, side mirrors are great. Out the back is wonderful. And what you see out the front windshield is phenomenal, especially with the way that they peak the hood to give you 2 nice reference points. And this steering wheel, it really feels like it's plucked out of an NSX. It's very fascinating driving this TLX A-Spec, because even with the 4-cylinder turbo, you're definitely still getting some really great throttle response and a good amount of power. I mean, to have that kind of 0 to 60 really is telling of what this power plant is all about with the 272 horsepower. Steering feel, it really feels direct, especially with a little bit wider wheel and tire combination up front. And I can't wait to take this down a couple twisty bits to see how the handling, especially at the rear with 275s. I don't know any TLX that I've ever seen that has 275s on the rear when it comes to rear tires, but great feedback. Seats are comfortable, especially with them being fully ventilated. And the brakes, I'm telling you, they do a great job balancing the whole package. And that's what it's all about. It's not just about being fast in a straight line. It's about having that nice balanced power and handling. And we're gonna go on throttle. Here we go, on throttle. Nice, getting the power down. On the brakes. Wow, look at that. Handling is wonderful, the grip. Nicely done with the balance with those wheels and tires, especially because those Vossens are forged, so they are lighter than your standard wheel, and they look really damn good. But I love the way everything communicates so well to the driver in this vehicle. And now with those extra touches, you are getting such a unique look to your TLX. You use the paddles on the back of the wheel. Here we go, on throttle. Nice. Fast shifts. On the brakes. Downshift. Look at this. I'm telling you, the handling is crazy with those wheels and tires. Super smooth. The 10-speed by itself shifts smooth, but I'm liking it even more with the paddles. It really does go from gear to gear very nice and quick. And I like that. The gauges, look how nice and bright they are. I mean, I know it's not a full digital display, but still they do a great job with the gauges on this TLX A-Spec. All right, guys, slow roll, on throttle, here we go. Nice. Decreasing radius. Perfect. This really, it changes the game by doing those wheels and tires. Obviously the other bodywork makes it look great, and I'm sure at speed it really is gonna play into the overall stability of the vehicle, but definitely wheels and tires on this, going with that extra width, made this even more fun of a car to drive. And I'm telling you now, you got to experience it by shifting with the paddles, by putting it in that manual shift mode and going through the paddles. Just really brings a smile to your face. I can't wait to see what the Type S is going to be like, but I also can't wait to drive this with the lowering springs. I think that would almost eliminate the body roll that you're seeing as well, besides giving it that perfect look from a standstill or rolling down the road. Just driving down the road, it still has a great ride. You're not messing up the quality too much. It's a little bit harsher, but I think going the extra inch is worth it. Those 20-inch Vossens just look stunning, and I'm not really noticing that big of a difference from the stock 19-inch wheels to those 20s. Even with the low profile tires, what I am noticing, and I'm gonna say, is definitely in the handling. It really just quickens things up and gives stability to the rear, especially as you're sending, like I said, that power to the rear with the super handling all-wheel drive system. But hopefully this gave you a nice overall feel once again about what the TLX is bringing to the table for 2021, especially the A-Spec trim, and what some mods are. Definitely let me know in the comment section what you are thinking about the mods that have been done to this particular one. But I'm gonna get back to Moss Acura and wrap this up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been another great day here at Moss Acura. Definitely gotta thank Albert, Angelo, and the rest of the crew getting us their modded 2021 Acura TLX A-Spec. I am anxiously awaiting to see this thing with the lowering springs. I think that would be the cherry right on top of this nice Sunday. But for me, I would take the money and go and wait for the Type S. But for somebody who wants to have it already done as they roll out of the dealership, I think this is a great way to do it. And you're gonna have a TLX that's definitely gonna stand out from the rest of the crowd. But if you wanna keep seeing these sports sedans that have had a few mods done to them, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on the way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you in the channel, 2 ways to do it. Click the first link, become a Ladies Rise Patreon member. Click the second link, get yourself some Ladies Rise merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera out here working it like a champ. Show Lori some love in that comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.